Hey, what's up, everybody? This is A.L. Johnson with Elevated Men, here with the cast of Elevated Men for another great conversation. This is part two of our four-part series where we're really taking a deep dive into men's mental health. If you missed us last week, we talked about social perception. We discussed that acceptance is a basic need that everybody has. And so in this age, a lot of the way that we act, a lot of the way that we portray ourselves has to do, and it comes from a standpoint of wanting to be accepted, right? And so now we're going to go into the second part of that, which is insecurity. Because if you have to shape your image based on the acceptance of others, it creates some type of insecurity issues in a lot of men. And so we're going to dive deep into that. Of course, I got the cast with me, but we'll be back here in just a second. All right, all right. So let's get this conversation started. But before we do, in case this is your first time ever tuning in, got to introduce you to the other brothers. So I'm gonna start with you, L. Beasy, LaRon Barnes, LaRon the Motivator. How you doing this evening?
Listen, I am so wonderful, man. It's good to be in you all's presence, and I'm definitely excited for a wonderful show we got going on today.
Awesome, awesome. And then to your bottom left, we have Mr. Andrew Boykin. Drew, how's it going tonight?
Hey man, I am totally distracted, but I'm glad to be here. Can y'all hear me?
All right, all right. Yeah, we hear
Hello?
you all right. We hear you all right. We hear you all right. And then to your bottom right, we've got Lauren Jones, Lojo Speaks. How you doing this evening, brother?
Hola, hola. Good people, man. Good to be in the presence of my brethren. It's time to get it in and feed the people.
So, for those of you that don't know, Elevated Men is the premier destination for men who want to improve their lives. We're all about building up men and building up our communities. In the process, we have very transparent conversations that you really don't hear a lot of men have. And we feel that that's important because conversation is the building block for change. And so, we're going to get into this. Before we dive into the new topic, fellas, last week was great. For those of you that didn't get to listen to it, you can go on our YouTube channel, Elevating Men, catch up on the archives. You can also go to our Facebook page at Elevating Men. But just starting with the conversation that we had last week, is there anything that you didn't get out last week? Any thoughts that came to mind between last week and now that you just kind of want to get out as we start this conversation? Anyone? You said just keep it rolling, huh? Keep it rolling. Okay, good, good.
Keep it rolling.
So,
Love it.
so like we said in the intro, acceptance is a basic need for everybody, not just men. We all want to feel accepted. Nobody wants to feel like they're out in the cold and nobody's feeling them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start with you, LaRon. We had a little conversation this morning talking about motivation and things like that. So when we're talking about people feeling the need to be accepted, does that take them out of who they actually are? And do you feel that that blocks their vision for creating the life that they want because they're so worried about being accepted by the masses?
I think it's we all want to be accepted as human beings. That's something that you said, and that's something so true. We all want to be accepted. And I used to say a lot of times that I don't care what people think about me, but I do care what people think about me. I do care about my image, so it's not an issue to want to be accepted. You just shouldn't allow people's what they desire for you to be to affect who you become. In other words, you shouldn't allow your acceptance to try to fit in with other people's standards. You have to discover like who you are. You have to be okay with who you are. See, and I go back to this a lot when it really comes down with knowing who you are, because if you want to be accepted and that's your main thing that you're looking at, you'll be willing to do things that are not in your character. So you have to have certain standards that you live by. We live in a society where many people want to be accepted, so people do trends to be accepted, like setting themselves on fire.
Right. All these challenges, all these crazy challenges. Right.
Yeah, so it's nothing wrong with wanting to be accepted, but at the end of the day, you shouldn't allow you wanting to be accepted so much interfere with who you actually are or your standards, morals, and character.
I agree. I agree. Lauren, let me ask you this. So when we talk about social acceptance and then we tie that into male insecurity, are there any things that you see currently in the social media landscape or just in the world in general that men limit themselves and create their own insecurities based off of other people's perceptions? Or are there any specific areas that you see that?
You know, it's interesting that you asked that question because I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking about the terms masculine and feminine, and how we tend to want to tie masculinity to sex instead of an energy, right? So when you think about, maybe the guy that, he's a cook, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, well, that's the woman's job, you know what I'm saying, to cook and, prepare dinner, or the dad that, is, the stay at home dad that, cares for the family, keeps the house clean and things like that. We have a tendency to tie masculinity and femininity into a sex instead of an energy. And when you do that, you can lose out on a lot of opportunities to not only find out who you are, but to thrive in who you are as well.
Go a little deeper with that because you almost like skated right there on the curve of gender roles. And so do you believe that gender roles kind of get in the way a little bit, or does that actually give us some form of structure?
Now, I wouldn't necessarily tie it necessarily to gender roles, even though that's the natural thing I think that people want to do. But I would dive deeper into just the essence of the titles, right? When you think about what is considered feminine, what is considered to be masculine, and whether or not it's appropriate for a guy to show his feminine or his sensitive side, or if it's okay for a lady to show her masculine qualities instead of her soft side. And so, when you think about it from that perspective, uh, that's where those energies can be misinterpreted, I guess is the best way to say it.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Andrew, what would be your interpretation, Andrew? And I know you have yourself on mute, so if you want to unmute yourself for this response, um, what do you see as male energy? If we keep it as energy, what is male energy? What is female energy? What does that look like? And what is the necessity for both? Uh,
We must have asked him a tough question because he started with "damn it."
You okay there? Okay, I think he's having a little bit of a connection issues. But when we're talking about gender roles, we know that that's dramatically changed. At this point, most gender roles are non-existent, in my opinion. Like, I believe that a lot of the gender roles were set at a point in time where it was a necessity, right? So it's not like where we're out, we're not killing animals or anything like that. We're going to the grocery store, you know what I mean? Male or female can do that. But of course there are certain situations. So just tell me if this is correct. You have a woman and things like that. If you see a woman mowing the lawn, right?
Mm-hmm.
At this point in time, in this day and age, does it make you scratch your head and ask where the man is, or is that just kind of common at this point?
Not necessarily, because I think you have to know her situation, right? Because if she lives by herself,
For sure.
I mean, that's just kind of a part of taking care of the home, or maybe she's a mother with young children, and so maybe her boys are not of age yet to be physically capable of mowing the grass. Now,
No, I mean like the exact, like you got a neighbor, it's the man in the house, she outside cutting the grass, you don't see him anywhere.
I don't know, because I see a lot of ladies, and I think it's just the nature of that particular individual wanting to make sure that her lawn is manicured and it looks good, and so she only trusts herself to do it the right way. You know, now me personally, nah, my lady's not gonna be outside mowing the grass. Like that's just not gonna happen. But that is just my perspective. You know, I would never necessarily judge a man for not uh getting out there and mowing the grass. I wouldn't judge him. Would I question? Probably so, just because you know it's just the manual labor perspective of it. But hey, if they got a nice little riding mower, hey, if she want to do some donuts in the yard, so be it.
I
Okay,
mean,
well,
when I look,
I would just be honest. I am judging the situation. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking like, well, what is this dude doing sitting in the house and this woman's out here, you know, sweating, breaking her neck. If I'm at the gas station, I see a man sitting in the car, the woman's pumping the gas, it makes me scratch my head. And so maybe there's some things that are ingrained in me, some societal norms that maybe I need to break away from. But I honestly feel that we're at a point in time where men are becoming weaker. I mean, just flat out. There's a saying that says during good times, weak men are created. During bad times, strong men are created. And
like
society
that.
has gotten to a point where everything is so easy and simple, right? A lot of the bare necessities of life are you know, a few footsteps away. We don't have to go to a
Mhm.
well to get water. We don't have to
Mhm.
do all those things. And so men are a lot weaker, in my opinion. And so for men to retain the strength that we want, because a lot of men, they want to retain the strength. They want to say, I'm a man, I run the household, listen to me. But then when it
Mhm.
comes to actually doing what men do,
Yeah.
then it's time to shy away and say, well, hey, women can do that too. And so we have to find where that median is, you know, and what do we really believe? What is our role? What are we actually supposed to be doing? Lauren, you have something to say?
I was thinking like, and I agree with you. It even happens to me now, and I think it has something to do with the upbringing, like you said. If I see a woman mowing the grass, it's an awkward feeling to me. It looks awkward, like, huh? I immediately thinking like, where is the help at? You know, even so that's what that's because that's a huge one for me, like mowing the grass, you know. And I understand that we live in a society to where that anybody can do certain things. So I think it also comes down to the individual and how they run their household. But at the same time, me personally, it's a personal thing that I believe that there's certain responsibilities. Not saying that it's a must and it has to be, but that as a man, as a supporter, as a person that shows their, I don't want to say masculinity because it's not about that, but just the lead in the household to say, you know what, I'll get down and dirty. Like I take out the trash. I don't even ask none of my children to do it. I mow the grass. I don't ask none of my children to do it or my wife or anything to do it. So it comes down to preference, but I do believe that you're right. I believe that it sort of weakens the man when they neglect the responsibility and want most of the responsibility to be on the woman. So I definitely agree with that, man. I definitely agree with that. And it does look weird to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, B, you good now? You got your connection, everything good?
Man, I don't know. Can y'all hear me okay?
We hear you perfectly fine, man. We hear you perfectly fine.
So yeah, I was having some issues. Uh, so sorry about that. Hey,
No
so
problem
what's
at
the
all. No
topic?
problem at all.
My bad.
Okay, so here's where we're at. Here's where we at. I'm gonna run back through this, and for all y'all that are watching or whatever, don't be like, I don't want to hear that again. Just bear with it. Right. So we're talking about
No,
gender
just pick
roles.
up.
We're
Just
talking
pick up. I
about
just want to listen.
insecurity, acceptance, and those things. And the question came up as far as gender roles. So now we're at a point where society is so strong that it's making men weak. A lot of the things that we used to have to do, we don't have to do anymore. But we want to retain that male energy, that dominance to say that I'm the man of the house, listen to me, follow my lead. But there's so many things that we shy away from because the need for us to do them no longer exists. And so we're just kind of trying to reconcile at what point do men really need to step up and when is it okay to shy away from traditional roles?
So, my opinion on that, I'm just going to be talking about the hierarchy, Maslow's hierarchy at all times. And at what point does he need to step up before he actually takes on a family, before he actually gets into a relationship? He needs to know who he is and where he's going before he actually asks someone to join him and to become his helpmate, and for them to bring life into this world so that they can actually assist him take over from where he leaves off and continue on patterning after what he has established. If he hasn't done that, then he's already out of order. Anything that he adds to that life will be out of order with his out of orderness. So at what point does he need to step up? From the very beginning. Does society make him weak? No. Society does not make him weak. Just like anything else that we can blame on why we don't do what we do. We need to figure it out some kind of way, ask other men, look for that direction, and become that man, and become and be it, in my opinion.
So, Lauren,
Can I be bougie for a minute?
for sure.
I don't even mow my own grass. I pay somebody to mow it.
You gotta get them boys out there, man. Get them started early.
Same here.
So let's tie this
But
into
sometimes,
to
sometimes men understand how to stay in their lane.
But
I'm sorry.
when we talk about insecurity, so if men are not assuming all of the roles that they should, would you agree that there's a certain insecurity that a lot of men carry now? I see you nodding your head, LaRon. What
Yes,
are your thoughts
absolutely.
I do, and that goes back to when you said it makes them feel weak. See, we want to feel needed. You know what I'm saying? And if we're not doing certain things, we don't feel needed. Men want to feel needed. We want to feel like, hey, we have a purpose, we have a meaning. We're here for you, baby. I got you. And when certain responsibilities are not took on, it takes away the need to be needed, and that brings on insecurities itself. Like, what am I here for?
Absolutely. Yeah, like you said, like if you're in a relationship and you're constantly hearing, like, I actually don't need you. I really don't need you. I got this. If you were gone tomorrow, everything would be the same. It does create some form of insecurity.
Yes.
You do want to feel needed. But what I feel is happening is a lot of men aren't doing the things that need to be done. So they're creating their own insecurity. Andrew, you have something to say?
Yeah, I do. And one of the reasons why I think this platform is so necessary is because we're talking, and this is a generalization, so excuse me, but we're talking to a lot of guys that want to be needed up to the point that they are actually needed. And then they don't necessarily want to be needed as much as they thought they did, and I'm one of them. I'm one of them. I was one that needed to cut the grass and fix stuff around the house. And I wasn't that guy. I'm not that handyman. Even though I can, I'm not that handyman. I have other skills. I have other directions. That's where I need to be. But where she needs me, I might not be as proficient. And then it's like, dang it, I don't want to be needed in places that I'm not proficient in. So I start to get insecure again.
Mm-hmm. So going with what he's saying, I think
but that
it throws
doesn't stop
a
her
little
from
bit.
still needing.
Gotcha.
I think what he's trying to say is that, and he kind of prefaced to it with the first statement that he made, which was stay in your lane. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, some men aren't handy. And that's not to say that means that the woman has to be handy. That's not what that is saying. That is just simply saying that, like if you can't hammer a nail into a wall, and so you're just gonna make a bigger problem. Maybe you need to use your skill set to find someone that is resourceful in that area. You know what I'm saying? If it happens to be your wife, so be it. But if it doesn't happen to be your wife, what resources are out there for the mission to still be accomplished. And we throw it out there, right? We say, oh, well, if a guy's not handy, he's useless. I know a ton of guys that are not handy at all. So what do? They go find a guy that's handy and they pay him to do the work. And if you feel in some type of way, if you're feeling insecure about that, then sit next to the handyman and say, hey, I'm
Right.
just gonna watch you, because that's a level of insecurity that I have. Now, should you be insecure? No, you shouldn't be insecure. Like, that's just we can't be good at everything, right? And
Well,
it
now
doesn't.
here's what I would say. Here's what
Yeah.
I would say. I think that if you are insecure, the feeling is valid. I think that you're 100% right. Is that if you feel that point of insecurity, don't just let it go past. Say, if this is making me feel some type of way, it's a problem. So let me learn. But I think we've got to a point where we've become too dismissive of our inadequacies because everything's accepted so easily. Everything around us is attained so easily that when things don't add up and we don't measure up, we could just throw it off, just shirk it off. But one thing that I always like to think about, and I don't mean to go doomsday with it, this is actually, I mean, this is real life, right? There's war in Ukraine right now. And I'm assuming that there are men over there that have had to do things that they have never thought they'd have to do, right? And so I try to put myself in that state of mind. What if something were to happen here on US soil and things reverted back just a little bit, just a few decades, and some of the conveniences that we've become accustomed to weren't available? As men, we're going to be looked at as, hey, man, we need to eat. You need to get out here and figure something out. And so what I feel is we should expose ourselves to as many things as possible, recognize when we're uncomfortable or we're not in our lane, so to speak, and then be honest with ourselves and go acquire those skills because we never know when they may be needed. And whether, we hear it a lot now or not, if things hit the fan, people are going to be looking for men who are willing to be men. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
So I think what you're trying to say is that that first quarter of life is crazy important. Is that what you're trying to say?
I mean, I would say for the purposes of this conversation, I would say that it's at any point in life. At any point in life, as a grown man in your third quarter, if you're still the provider, if you're still the patriarch of the family, I know that's a negative term now, but if you're the man, the head of the household, hey, you need to know what's going on. You need to be able to provide, whether it's easy or hard. And if it's hard and it's outside of your scope of knowledge, then you need to learn what you need to do to be able to provide. Because how can your family feel secure if the head of the household can't do what needs to be done and is unwilling to learn? And so that's why we had a conversation, Andrew Boykin and I, we were talking about programs that we can put together, maybe bringing in men who have these certain handyman skills or that know how to fish or that know how to hunt, and to teach other men and boys that don't have those skills so that they can have the confidence that they need to. How many men went through, poor mental health issues during the pandemic because of the uncertainty, and then those fears and insecurities rose to the surface because it's like, man, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. How good of a provider can I really be without these skills? Andrew, what
Can you
would
all
you
hear
say?
me now?
We can, yeah.
Okay, hey, I totally agree, man. A lot of things happened during that pandemic that exposed men's weakness. When the supermarket stores were not fully shelved, and that's when restaurants closed early or closed down, and places that were convenient for a man to actually feed his family exposed him that I don't know how to feed my family without these conveniences. What do I do? And that fear, that anxiety, not only jumped into him, but it bounced off of him because his family said, "Whoa, what's going on with him?" And he didn't know how to explain it fully, but it was real. It was there, and it was the beginning of something that he just discovered himself about himself. Did I freeze?
Lauren, I see you nodding your head there. Does anything come to mind for you?
Yeah, I would say, that's a very accurate statement. I think that, isolation will bring the worst out of people, just isolation. And so, when you think about when you're isolated, you have a ton of time to think. And when you start going down certain rabbit holes, uh, those insecurities just really just start popping up everywhere. What am I not capable of? What did I not get here that I need in life now? And what those insecurities can actually do is turn into anger. Uh, and that anger is really what causes you, if you don't have the tools to learn how to articulate those feelings, that's really what sends you down that dark path, because you feel like you have no way uh, out of your current situation. You know, when you start to feel stuck, uh, that's when things, can kind of take a darker path. When you don't know what resources are out there for you to get the help that you need. When you talk about men's mental health, you know, those insecurities of what we aren't able to do, and not having our circles of trust to be able to reach out and say, "Hey, bro, like I don't know what I'm doing, but I
Mhm.
know that this is something that, I've seen you operate well in. Can you teach me? Can you give me some guidance? Can you give me a good word to be able to, uh, help me along the way?" Go ahead, Drew. I see you. Go ahead.
So add to that. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Forgive me for keep asking if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
it's okay. Yep.
Okay. So add to that this stuff right here. Add to this stuff right here. Now I'm insecure. I've discovered that I'm not fully doing everything that I need to do. The pandemic has hit. Life has changed my skill set, and I'm older now. I have to retrain. Now I have to figure out, how can I become relevant again? How can I feed my family again? How can whatever this anxiety is on me, how can I do that at this age? Because I'm only getting older. Uh, I'm now competing with younger people. Uh, the list goes on, and my family
Yeah,
still needs me.
absolutely. And so as men, what I'm hearing in this is adaptability. Like we have to be able to adapt. We have to be able to be that chameleon. Maybe I'm not a handyman, but when it really comes down to it, I have to figure it out. I have to learn. And it's easier now than ever before. I mean, I'm not a handyman by any means. I'm not a mechanic, but here over the last couple of years, I fixed my car a couple of times. I went on YouTube, I pulled it up, I followed the man on there. I did what I had to do. And at the end of the day, as men who are raising boys who will one day be men, they have to see us being willing to do that. What is it that we're teaching our boys when we just say, "Hey, I don't do that. That isn't my lane." When it's something that we know full and well, any woman would expect us to be able to do that or to have a solution at that point in time. And so when we're raising boys, it's particularly important for them to see us willing to adapt, willing to learn, willing to grow at any age. Lauren, you had something to say?
That there is the quandary. That
Okay.
there is the quandary, because when you think about, you know, though that exploratory phase of life, right? Uh, and you come from a single parent home where you were surrounded by strong women but no strong men, and
Hmm.
all the things that you missed out on, the things that you weren't taught, and then you fast forward, right? And
Right.
now you have a family of your own, and you
Yeah.
have, young men looking at you like, "Hey, dad, lead the way."
Yeah.
And you like, "I don't even know how to lead the way, because I wasn't given the tools and resources. And at this juncture in life, I haven't taken the opportunity to seek out those resources because I'm in chase mode," right?
That right there, that chase mode, because um, it alludes to what Andrew said earlier, and I see that question there. We're gonna get to that in just a second, but what I see is that earlier Andrew said that we never build that foundation, right? And so we're off and running with a family and kids before we ever actually took the time to learn how to be a man ourselves. And so there's almost has to be this self-actualization of understanding that, hey, I'm 20, 21, 22, I don't have any children, or whatever that age is. I don't have any children, but I do want them eventually. I do want a family. What are some things that I need to know? What insecurities do I have that I need to feel before I step into that role. We never really take that time to build something. Andrew. Yep, Andrew.
So talking about insecurities, Lene, Lene just reminded me of one. So you do know that a lot of fathers equip their daughters with the knowledge of changing their own oil and fixing stuff and fixing stuff around the house and mowing lawns. And this goes back to when you were talking about earlier that sometimes they don't need us, but when they give us this opportunity to be the man and we hem and haw or wait until the next day and we come home and it's been done, it's like, hey, honey, I thought you told me. I did tell you that 5 days ago. You know, it's like, hey, nowadays women then stop expecting us to do what they've been taught. And unfortunately, the reason those fathers taught them that was because those fathers knew that they might run into men that did not know how to do what they needed to do.
Mm-hmm. And so would you say that that can be a source of intimidation for some men? A woman who is fully, you know, fully functioning, she can handle everything on her own. Technically, she doesn't need a man for very many reasons. Is that a source of insecurity of men? Do men fear those type of women? What are your thoughts on that, Andrew?
Well, see, it's let's be clear on this, and this is just me. It's not that we are intimidated by her, and it's not that we fear her. It's just that she, as our mirror, she actually exposes what we did not learn, what we still can learn, but won't. Our own insecurities come in as to what we need to do. So it's not even about her. She's just our mirror in that instance.
Wow. LaRon, we haven't heard from you in a while. If you could take yourself off mute, what are your thoughts about this portion of the conversation?
I mean, I was thinking about, you know, even the part that you just said as far as being intimidated by it. Like one thing I can speak personally, there's a lot of different things. I'm not going to say I'm not happy to say, because once again, everybody doesn't have certain skill sets. Like, I'm not a handyman. And one of the things that my wife knows that, but she still she still asks me to get it done. And what I do is either I'm gonna go ahead and try to do it myself, or I'm gonna call somebody and ask somebody for help. But one thing that I understand and learn when it comes to allowing this to play on my securities, if I can say, is that knowing what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. It's like this. You can't allow people to make you feel bad for not being good at certain things. You know, of course, all you can do is all you can do, because in areas that you're weak, the other individual should be strong. And once again, there are things that we can do about not having certain skills. Like, for example, I don't know how to work on cars. You know what I mean? And, you know, and some people can look at me like, how do you're a man? No, that doesn't define if I'm a man or not. I'm a man because God made me a man. Now, I didn't learn that skill. You know what I'm saying? That's a skill. Right. These things are skills that people learn. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so it just comes to knowing your lane, knowing where you are, and doing what you can, what you are good at, master that. And what you're not, go ahead and get help. Ask somebody. If you are feeling insecure, like it was said, learn how to do it. YouTube is out there, but don't feel insecure about it, because we don't know how to do everything. And no one defines if you're a man. You're a man because you were born a man. If you want to learn that skill and you want to do it, learn it. Don't complain about it or feel bad about it.
Love it. We got a comment here from Ron Deasy. I want to kind of pick this apart a little bit, but he said fear might be the wrong word. And so I'm assuming he's speaking about the portion where I said, are men afraid of women who are able to do certain things? And I like what he said here. He said they may be less attracted by the way of digging up unspoken or even unconscious insecurities. And so do men shy away from women who amplify their securities? That's a better way of putting that question. Andrew, what are your thoughts on that? You nodding your head, so that must be a yes.
The easy answer is no, we don't shy away from them. Yeah, we don't shy away from them. When we have insecurities, then what we do is we show them our beautiful 20%, and then we run before they see our 80%. And that 80% is what we don't know how to do. So we don't want them to see our painful insecurities. So no, we don't shy away from them. We run when they get ready to see our reality. So yeah.
Okay, I want to dig deeper into that. So is that to say, you know, men getting into a relationship or getting into some entanglement, you know, well, getting into an entanglement with a woman, and then when it gets serious and he may have to step into some of those quote unquote man roles, and he's expected to be a man and do these certain things, is that maybe why relationships are short lived?
In my opinion, and in my experience, you know, my relationships were short lived when I had to become the man instead of the representative, the romantic, the romance, that person who only took her out and dated her, wined and dined her. But when, you know, the nails had to be hammered in, and when there was a noise in the backyard that hey, she says, hey, wake up. It's like, hey, you better call 911.
He said, if I'm gonna have to be doing all this,
I don't even own a gun.
But
really, what that exposed was, and no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I thought Lauren may have had.
So what that exposed for me?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Now there's a little delay. Go ahead.
Okay. So what that exposed for me, and oh gosh, I almost lost my train of thought. Oh, okay. Where this security, because we're talking about the second line of the hierarchy, security. Where this security came from, or this insecurity in me, is if she's cutting the grass and she's pregnant, I'm feeling bad because my pregnant wife is cutting the grass. If she is painting the house and she's nursing, I'm feeling bad because my pregnant wife is painting the house, or my nursing wife is painting the house. If she is doing anything that I could / should be doing, if she's lifting a heavy board and she's 9 months or whatever, or she's holding a baby in her arm, these are the things that remind me of what I need to be doing so that she can do what that baby needs at that point in time, so that our life continues on. You know, I'm fighting the battle, she's protecting the home, and life goes on. But if she's fighting the battle and protecting the home, this makes me say, where do I fit in? And now I'm already out of order because I should have known that from the beginning.
I got to read this comment and I want you to respond to it. Andrew Lynette, she said, Women, A.L. Boykin's book is the truth. I hope they plug it here. It is a great book. I read it myself. 10 Reasons Why I Refuse to Say I Love You. Can you kind of give us a little information on the premise of that book and how it fits into this conversation?
So the premise of the book was written, it was derived from Genesis chapter 3 and 12, when God asked Adam, you know, why, so forth, why? And the first thing he did was he pointed at the woman and said it was that woman, but he was actually blaming God that you gave me. So that was the first step of man actually shirking his responsibility, knowing what he had to do. God gave him a job. God gave him dominion. God gave him everything that he needed. But yet and still, when he failed that intentionally, when he failed that, he blamed her. He blamed God through her. So the book actually identifies many of those reasons, or 10 of those reasons, why I thought the way that I was loving was actually love, but it wasn't. And what she needs to understand is what my ignorance of love looked and sounded like.
Yeah, definitely. How can people get the book? Is it how can they get the book?
I give the book away for free, the PDF. Otherwise, they can order it on Amazon.
Perfect.
And then they can just hit me up on Dinner and Dialogue. Yeah.
I'm gonna make a statement, kind of comment off Brother Boykin. I mean, he was talking right before that. He was talking about insecurities if they do come, they come from you feeling bad about what you are not doing when you know you could be doing it. And I have to say that that has been true for me. There's been times where my wife may have asked me, "Hey, LaRon, would you please put this bed together, or a piece of equipment? Would you please do some things that were more technical, that require skills of putting together, using your brain, all this other stuff?" And I'll say, "Yes, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it." And I'll procrastinate it. And then I'll come home one day and she's doing it. And I feel so bad about it that I say, "Get out the way. I got it." I got it. And I feel bad about the simple fact that, you know what, I should have been on it. And now she's doing it. And so that right there is what makes me feel bad about it. Now, I don't see that as maybe being an insecurity, like you said, but you know what? That I should have been doing it. I feel bad about myself. Like, why is she having to do this if she's been asking me for 2 weeks to do this? And all of a sudden, I want to do it when the time comes where she says, "I'm going to do it myself." That right there, I felt that.
Yeah. This is a comment that actually speaks to that. Tammy, thanks for tuning in. It says, "I'd like to add, it's empowering as a woman to have the knowledge and ability to do traditional male roles by ourselves. It's more about independence and self-sufficiency. Many times a lack of a male to help with said things in the first place. Now, if there was a man around to do those things, it would be welcome for sure, but someone's got to get the stuff done. Somebody's got to get it done." It's true. It's true. And so I would like to ask for the women who are tuning in, if you're tuning in, just drop your answer in the comment. Have you ever felt yourself having resentment towards men for having to do things that you felt another man should be doing?
That's good.
Does that create a source of resentment? Does that create any pain or hurt that, hey, I'm having to go out here and do this thing that a man should be doing? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Would love to hear that. Dr. Elisa, thanks for tuning in. Thank you. Thank you. He said, absolutely. Yes. Yes, I have. And so the women here, there's 3 right there in agreement saying that, yes, they have felt some sort of resentment or anger towards men for not being able to step up and do things and making them have to do it. Nico says, "Some men will waste your time and gift wrap the outside all fancy, but the actual gift is nothing like the wrap. So when they are challenged, they cut and run." That's what we spoke about earlier. Absolutely. Tammy said, "Frustration for sure." Nico, she said, "Yes, I have felt that." On behalf of men, we apologize and we need to do better. That's what this platform is about. Cena, yes, that's felt that resentment.
That's an actual thing. That's something new to me, Andrew. That's something new. I didn't know that women felt a resentment towards that. Because but you know what? Even by them feeling resentment in that, and then how we feel the resentment that they feel. We feel the resentment that they feel.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. When she like burnt, her eyes are burning the side of your face, and you know you didn't screw that bolt on over there you were supposed to do. You know it. You know it. Elisa, I also think men punish us for being independent when we had no other choice. I'd be interested in hearing in what ways do you feel men administer that punishment. Andrew, you had something you wanted to add?
Yeah, so forgive me, Miss Baker, because I can't pronounce you. I didn't want to butcher your first name. When her comment, just moved. Oh, basically, we gift wrap ourselves. They feel that resentment because, and this is just my opinion and generalization, but we come in saying, "I will give you the world. I will do this. I will do that." And when the do list, the honeydew gets longer than our abilities, or longer than our skills, or longer than what we've practiced, then the list, and that goes what Tammy says, the work still needs to get done, but we only know how to do this much. So we jet, so we run. So it's not that they they are angry with us for the reasons that we gave them that reason to be. So I say, for lack of better words.
And it's almost like everything else.
Have we not come and say, "Hey, baby, 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 baby"?
Yeah, definitely. And then we've had the conversation before about just even when it comes to children, when it comes to having kids, men are able to run from that responsibility where women stay there no matter what. We're saying that it trickles over into, simple things like cutting the grass and, screwing on bolts on a cabinet. Like when it comes down to it, why do you feel that women have more of that, let me get it done no matter what, ingrained in them versus men who say, well, if I can't do it, I'm just not worried about it. Where do you feel that comes from? Anyone?
I feel that it comes from the independent
Slavery.
talk.
Oh, well, yeah, we got to call. Okay, well, you said the independent. What was your take?
And that goes, and I mean, I'm gonna let Mr. Boykin take it from back to, but that's kind of in along alignment with it. Is that not being in the home division? All that stuff happened up until saying I got to do it myself. That's you know, I didn't go that far, but that's basically where it is. You know, that I can do it myself. And then when you have a society that looks at that as being so much of a good thing, I'm independent. You got songs INDEPENDE. You know, when you got these things going on and it's praised. It's praised that I don't need a man. I don't need anyone to be there with me and for me. But the last time I checked, my favorite book said that it was not meant for men to be alone. And if a woman's a man's and a man's a woman's, if y'all become one, then we need each other. So this is how you run a family. This is how you make things happen. So I believe it just has to do with our culture and society, because it's this culture and societies. Other cultures and societies are not all like this. You know what I mean? There's different cultures. They listen. The man, this is what the man is. This is where they're positioned. This is where the woman's positioned. So I think it has to do with our culture and society, which comes
Andrew,
from
yeah, right.
Lawrence,
Andrew, what did you have to add?
Lauren is. No, I wanted. Lauren has been. Hey, Lauren, you jump in there.
I'm just listening. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's good to be better to be a good listener. Now, no, I think that you know, a lot of this conversation, right? We're stirring different pots and, you know, pulling emotion out of people, which is great. And I think that, you know, when we talk about, you know, the insecurity of a male, right? That we have to be okay with there being insecurities, right? Because when you're not okay with an inadequacy, then that shame and that guilt is going to just lead you further to not trying to fix it, right? And so we can discuss, you know, ad nauseum, you know, the things that some men aren't capable of doing and things of that nature, you know, how it aligns with the instability in the home or the instability therefore. But because I know when I posed the question today, I got the same statement from both men and women, which is we need to normalize the conversations where we can discuss our inadequacies and our insecurities in order to find solutions to try to overcome them, right? And you know, when you know, we have this old fashioned guy, you know, and he was fixing the carburetor. Then when he got done fixing the carburetor, he went and he fixed the AC. And then after he fixed the AC, he had to, you know, screw in a new light switch. And, you know, and then you fast forward to now, and the modern man is like, well, I'm just going to pay somebody that's skilled at that. Right. I'm not going to take the time to even learn that because I don't need to. And is he wrong or is he right? Right? Somebody is going to make him feel inadequate. Like, you don't know how to fix the light switch. And he's like, nah, that's not my lane. So I pay somebody to fix the light switch so I could stay in my lane. And so is that inadequacy his fault? Or is that just society putting pressure and saying, this is our expectation of you? Because we talked earlier about how you can't let society shape you. But then we're saying, okay, well, but if you're not capable of doing this, then you're inadequate. So which one is it? Is it okay for society to come in and dictate who we should be? Or should we understand the confines of our homes, the structure of our homes, how we come up to raise our children and our children's children? Because there is a certain level of structure, right? There are certain things that I feel like every male should be able to do, and things of that nature. But I will never shame a man for not knowing, but more
Mhm.
so say, hey, let me take you by the hand and lift you up, right? You know what I'm saying? Let me
Yeah,
show you how to do it, because when we living in this rat race, right, we have to set goals. We have to set goals. And so those inadequacies are just magnified by societal perceptions, and whether or not uh we fall in line with what that societal perception is, or if we don't. And then, like LaRon just referenced to, every culture has a different norm. Every culture has a different norm. So if you can't really say, well, one size fits all. You can't say it, because if you go and look at an Arabic man, he gonna be like, all y'all American men is weak. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they are the patriarch. They are the man of the house, and it's disrespectful for a woman to even attempt to put herself on the same level and on that same platform.
now I hear you on that. Now there's a comment that's been echoed by several people in the feed, so we definitely have to address that. And so what I've seen about 3 or 4 times in the last couple of minutes is that we're not expecting you to be able to do it. We expect you to take the lead as far as dealing with the repair company, making sure that the phone calls go out, when someone's coming in, the oversight of making sure the job gets done. We need to handle that. It creates a situation where they're unhappy when they're having to do all of those things.
So here's
Hmm.
the tricky part about that right there
Okay.
is each home has a different level of balance, right? So, if the man is out there working all day and he is the primary breadwinner, are you still mad if he's been gone from sun up to sundown, and then he still gotta call this person and call that person, when
That's valid.
you have been sitting in the house, with a little bit of extra time. Now, I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying that that's, what I'm not saying that's exactly what it is. I'm just using that as an example of how you can flip that statement, right? And be like, well, you was home all day. Like,
Mm.
why didn't you make the phone call to call the repair dude to come fix whatever needs to be fixed in the house?
Now
And so go ahead.
these comments are coming fast, so I'm trying to catch some people. Don't think
So
that I'm rude if
yeah,
I don't hit your exact comment, but a lot of you are echoing the same sentiment. And so, one here, let me go back. Oh my goodness, Tammy, she said, this is a big one, and this sentiment has been echoed a couple times. I'll be honest, that admission of not having a certain skill set is endearing and vulnerable, which increases a couple learning on each other, communicating and finding solutions together. Societal roles aside, each person showing up with their strengths and authentic self is so admirable. I agree with that. And I believe that there has to be a point of honesty. So when we talk about being vulnerable, we talk about being insecure and all of that. The simple solution is honesty, right? And so we talked before about the mask that men put on when they first meet a woman and they're dating and they're trying to attract her, and they're, I'll give you the sun and the moon and the stars, knowing you ain't got none of that. Right. It's about being honest. And so if we're able to be upfront and honest about our shortcomings, that will allow us as men to see what type of woman we're dealing with. Is she able to understand that? Is she going to give me the space to grow? Or am I completely written off automatically because I can't do X, Y, and Z? Andrew, you had a comment? Oh, I think both of you, Lauren,
so
Andrew, one
let
of
me
you.
let me give my opinion about an era in which I did not live in. So it's just an opinion. Slavery, and again, this is just what I heard about. But slavery had the man who impregnated a woman a couple of times because master needed more workers. So there's about 4 or 5 babies that the woman is feeding. And slavery has this man who does not want to be there anymore. So what he says is, I'm going to leave. I'm going to find us a place, and I'm going to come back for you. He leaves. He does not necessarily come back Maybe he dies, maybe he finds another family, whatever the case may be. But his mindset is on a better tomorrow. Her mindset is today. How do I feed these kids right now? What needs to be done right now? And that mindset transferred down after slavery to where we had cars, we had houses, we had things, but we couldn't go into town to get them fixed. We had to fix them ourselves. So our fathers became handymen, and they learned how to do the electricity and fix the plumbing and fix the cars because it needed to be done. Like someone had made a comment earlier. And then translating that even further, those same fathers wanted us to work smarter and not harder. So they sent their kids to school and taught them how to learn and how to use his hands. So translating that down to us now, we forgot that things needed to get done. What we held on to was men are trying to build a different tomorrow, but women are living rooted in today. That today is the one that needs to be fixed and needs to be addressed. So what they do is instead of sympathizing with us, they say, get on YouTube, because that's what I did last week. We don't have time for you to build tomorrow because the floor is falling in today. So we have a tomorrow vision, and we have a today vision that is trying to become one vision in the same household, in my opinion.
Great. This is a good question here, Corey. Thanks for joining us, man. I always love when you're on and you give good feedback. He says, what makes the man specifically the leader of women? Anybody want to jump on that? I would just say, go ahead, Lauren.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that the man is specifically the leader of women. I think that the man is the leader in his own home, right? It doesn't make him the leader of women as a gender, as a species, but it does make him the leader of his home. And so, and that's such a slippery slope, right? Because now you're asking to define leadership. Is really what you're asking is to define what leadership is. And so, when we talk about who should take the lead here, who should take the lead there, that's where the communication between the two adults in the house, that's where that's defined, right? We talk about I have to wholeheartedly disagree with at least the new generation and how they want to gift wrapped, and we showing our good side up front, and then once we get serious then it all falls apart. I think that's part of the problem. Is I think that the best foot forward isn't even being put out there. It's just like, hey, it's me, what's up? That's what these young kids. Yeah, sure, you can go ahead.
So what makes the man the leader? Again, I'm going back to an era in which I did not live in, which was slavery and post-slavery, because there was a time when women did not have a voice. There was a time when women could not go to market. Women could not do business. Women could not own anything. So therefore, that translated down to the man has to be the one to negotiate. The man has to be the one to lead the household, to go out and bring the goods back. The man had to be the one. That's what made him the leader. And if he did not lead, nothing would have been brought back to the home. Nothing would have been secured in the home. If a woman made a phone call to the plumber while the man is at work, and the man knew nothing about it, he would probably get angry with that woman because that woman let a strange man into her household where his babies were, and anything could have happened because he had no knowledge of it. There's a slippery slope on both sides, because his thing is I need to protect you because that's what I learned from an era in which I was never born in. And because I was never born there, I don't have all the knowledge and the reasons as to why I need those skill sets. There's a big gap in me that's missing. And that's what I don't understand.
And
But she
that
says,
and
hey, look it
that
up on YouTube. I do it.
and that in itself is really what starts the inadequacies right there. Is there's a gap of understanding, but you don't know what resources out there for you to close that gap, right? And it's not because the answers are out there, right? We all know that the answers are out there. You just have to seek the knowledge. But it goes back to that. I don't want to be the dumb kid in the back of the classroom asking questions,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And so that that inadequacy just it continues to make you shrink, and eventually you'll shrink to a point where you're caged in, and once you're caged in, when it comes out, it's coming out all wrong. And we
Yeah.
gonna we not gonna just mess up a little bit. We gonna destroy the whole damn thing.
Now, one thing I like this comment here, Young Meal Tickets. Thanks for tuning in, bro. I always love you being here. Enjoy your feedback. He says it's not about being a leader of women. It's about taking the lead. And I'm seeing that echoed with some of the women's comments. It's not that we need you to lead us or, grab us by the arm and tell us what to do. It's about taking the lead. And when it comes to being a leader, it's like a coach in basketball or a manager at a job. A good leader knows how to delegate. A good leader knows how to identify opportunities as well as inefficiencies. A good leader is going to work to fill those gaps. If he doesn't have the skills, like you said before, Lauren, he's going to seek out the person that does have them, or he's going to acquire those skills on his own. It's about being a good manager. I believe is like the word that doesn't come up when we talk about the relationship between men and women and leadership. It's essentially about good management. Andrew, you have something to say?
So, and I'd like to add to that. In my opinion, a good leader is a great follower, a follower of a good example, meaning before he proposes to a woman, he creates that proposal, that document that says, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, this is where I'd like to take you, this is how we're going to get there. Would you like to join this plan? That's what a good leader does. He follows a good plan.
And so every man on here has a daughter. And so when we're, looking at our daughters going into the dating world and eventually finding a husband, that's some advice that we should be giving them. Hey, what kind of plan has this man given you? Has he shown you where he's going? Does he have a path carved out for life? If not, maybe he isn't ready to be a husband. Maybe he isn't ready to lead or manage a household or any of that. And that goes back to one of our key principles with elevating men that we teach is the 4 quarters of life, right? And so 0 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 80, there's different things that we need to be doing within those time periods. But one of the main things that we talk about is before you ever propose to a woman, impregnate a woman, or put yourself in a position to be a father or the head of a household prematurely, you need to build that solid foundation, meaning I have a plan. I've got a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 20-year plan. I know what I want. I know where I'm going. And a woman needs to be able to sit back and say, do I want to be a part of that or not? But she can't say what she wants to be a part of if you're not showing her anything, if you haven't already developed that plan. So now you're coming in together with 2 completely different sets of ideals of what's getting ready to happen, because nobody knows what everything's a surprise. She doesn't know, right? You told her the sun, the moon, the stars, 2, 3, 4 years later, she ain't got a single star, ain't nothing happened, and now you have this division within the home.
I thought women like surprises. I'm messing, ladies. Don't beat me up. I'm messing, ladies.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. There are so many comments still left. And I hate to do this, people, but actually our time is up. It was up a few minutes ago. And so all of you that are on here leaving these comments, we need you to come back next Monday, same time, 8 p.m. If you didn't get the whole episode, you can go back to the Elevating Men page on Facebook, or you can type in Elevating Men on YouTube, catch the conversation from the beginning. Again, this is part 2 of a 4-part series, so you can go back through the archive, catch up on everything that we've said, and be ready for next week. And in fact, don't just come along. invite a couple friends, share it on your page, share this out, because these conversations are so important. Man, great conversation. Great conversation. Before we go, guys, is there, I want you to let people know how to get in contact with you. And if you have any last thoughts on the conversation, I'll start with you, LaRon.
Absolutely. You can find me on Facebook at LaRon the Motivator, or you can look at me up on at LaRon Barnes on Facebook as well. Also, you can find me on Instagram at LaRon08. And if you are an individual that has any young man that really needs some mentorship, or you yourself, you need some direction, some mentorship to reach and obtain what you are looking to do in life, listen, connect with me. We'll go ahead and have a quick conversation and put you in the direction of your goals and your dreams, and we can get you on the right path and see what happens from there.
Andrew Boykin.
So you can reach me at Dinner and Dialogue on Facebook. That's Dinner and the letter N Dialogue. Or you can reach me on restin2050.org, the restoration. That's my new 501c3. What I'm hoping to do is connect wonderful people with wonderful people, because I see a lot of people on here who have skill sets that have helped me along the way. Thank you, Dr. Elisa Henley and Dr. and Lene. But there's also, I saw in the comments, a personal coach. But it's time for us to actually start to come together so that we can actually do something different and put some of these words in action, in relationship, good relationship. Thank you.
And Lauren Jones, Lojo Speaks. Last word thoughts.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Lojo Speaks. You can find me on Instagram, as Lojo Speaks as well. You know, the goal of this entire platform is to open up the conversation and be able to have those uncomfortable, vulnerable conversations that actually lead us to the change that we need to see in life. And just obviously a shameless plug. If you are in need of a vehicle, contact me, 816-405-9988, Lopez Boys Auto Sales. We're here for you.
And again, I'm A.L. Johnson. We'll be here again next Monday, 8 p.m., same time, same place. Again, catch our archives on YouTube. Just type in Elevating Men. All of the content is right there. Share it with the men in your life, the women in your life. Bring more people to the table so that we can have these conversations, so we can really come together as a community and improve things for future generations. My business outside of this is life insurance. I help families create a legacy, a guaranteed legacy, and you know, just leave your family in a better position than what they started in. You can find more information about that company at aljohnsongroup.com. And also go to elevatingmen.com so you can keep up with everything that we're doing. Appreciate all of you tuning in. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week.